How's it going, you guys? I just got out of the shower and I actually just finished cooking food, and I would definitely eat the food right now, and I really would love to do that, but I feel like this message is extremely important, and so I'm going to get this out before I eat. So I'll let my food get cold and I'll just reheat it. I don't really care. Um, so, I've gone through a lot of stuff this last year, and I've gone through a lot of suffering the last couple of years. And I've learned a very valuable lesson through this, okay? So essentially, I have this issue, I guess, where I feel like, and it's not really, it doesn't have to be an issue, but I guess the way that I approach it makes it an issue. Essentially, I feel like my ideas, I feel like my advice on everything from life to relationships to friendships to, nutrition and health, I feel like they're so valuable. And I think that everyone who has any kind of self-love or self-value, or more so anyone who has any confidence in the things that they're saying, probably feels this way. They feel strongly about what they believe in. But the problem is, I feel like everyone could benefit from a lot of things I say, and I'm sure a lot of my followers would probably agree. But my problem is that I have to accept the fact that everybody has grown up differently. Everybody is, I would say, programmed differently, okay? But we could just say everybody is different. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different beliefs. And I believe that it's, these beliefs and these thoughts and these behaviors, the way people are is created from their environment, influencing them over time. Read neuroplasticity so you can understand what I'm talking about, or the power of habit. But basically, I have to accept the fact that no matter how much I think someone will benefit from my information, if it's causing hostility or tension between myself and that person, I need to stop. Like, there's nothing I can do, first of all, okay? Second of all is, there's a lot of people out there who want to hear my information or who are willing to be helped, but the way that you communicate the information, or the way that I communicate that information, is more important than the information itself. And that's actually probably the reason why a lot of people who give advice that might not be so great, they're actually very popular and have a lot of people that follow it despite the extreme flaws that should be very obvious. It's their delivery, it's the way that they can empathize with people, and the way that they can communicate in a way that is easy to receive. Some people are very emotionally sensitive, for example, and if you are very demanding, if you're very persistent and stiff and rigid with your advice or insights, then that might actually not be absorbed by that person. It might be resisted, right? Anyway, I have to accept the fact that I can't control other people, no matter how hard I try, right? I can't force my advice on other people, no matter how much I think it might benefit them. And the more that I care, the more I want this person to just eat more protein, and just be more consistent with your goals. Just go to the gym every day, right? Or just whatever it is, just do it. Please, for yourself, right? Not for me, for yourself. Just do it because it's a goal you have, or whatever. Or, oh, this person has diabetes. Just cut the carbs, please. Just Just try intermittent fasting, or just eat healthy whole foods. Just cut out the sugar, cut out the sodas. Okay? It's like they are either going to do it whether you tell them to or not, or they're not going to do it whether you tell them to or not. And the interesting thing is, I'm giving information out to people, right? You can find my videos by searching for whatever it is you care about. Like if you care about erectile dysfunction, I have a video about that. Amazing video called Erectile Dysfunction is a Joke, blah, blah, blah. And it is one of my most popular videos, actually, interestingly enough. If you care about erectile dysfunction, like that means, first of all, if you're searching that up, you probably have that problem to begin with. No one that doesn't have some kind of problematic relationship with erectile dysfunction is going to search that up. Like, I've had wives who look it up for their boyfriend because their boyfriend doesn't want to deal with it because he's insecure about it, right? Which is usually a cause of, it's a sexual anxiety, really. Performance anxiety, which will cause erectile dysfunction. But the point is, the wife cares. The husband doesn't care, so he's not going to look it up. You know, or he cares, but he doesn't want to look it up because it triggers pain inside of him. But the wife cares because she wants to be pleasured and she wants to help her husband, obviously. So she's looking up for him. So she cares about erectile dysfunction, so she's going to look it up. The husband won't, though. And like, maybe if the wife tells him, hey, you know, here are some things that can help you, please try, maybe the husband will be receptive to it, but a lot of times they're not. They're not going to look it up, they're not going to listen, they're just going to have the problem is just going to continue, though. That is the reality. But the information is out there, and so if somebody is willing to fix this problem, or is interested in fixing the problem for someone else, maybe, which is what this video is about, don't do that. The point is, they will look up the information. They will find it. They will find my videos. Or they'll ask me in person, because really the main problem I have is in person. You know, I haven't lost friendships, but I've chosen to be upset, chosen to keep these people away from me, and part of it's probably a good thing, but I've chosen to do such a thing, chosen to end friendships because their lack of, is it competence? Is that the word? Their lack of competence, their lack of willingness to at least, you know, entertain the thoughts, or, you know, be receptive to it, or hear me out, right? It just bothered me too much. Like, hey man, like, you've got a serious problem here, and I don't want to see this problem go on in your life anymore. I don't want to see you continue to repeat the same mistake over and over again. It bothers me, right? Like, it should hurt you, because it hurts me to watch you go through that nonsense when you could easily prevent it if you follow my instruction. And it doesn't happen. They don't care. They don't listen. It bothers me. I suppose I just care a lot. But the thing is, this is the paradox, is like, if you really care about somebody, you will choose to communicate as effectively as possible. And that means to get the best possible result in the relationship. So if you're telling your friend who has diabetes and they're eating a ton of sugar and whatnot, like, hey, cut the sugar out, you know, at least, or try a ketogenic diet, even better. And they're like, no, that's bad for you, and my doctor says I can eat this sugar. It's fine. Unfortunately, that actually happens all the time. Well, you can continue to tell them and badger them about it all you want, but they're not going to be your friend for very much longer, because they're either going to get really irritated and begin arguing with you and maybe start a fight, maybe freak out, or they're going to distance themselves from you because they just are tired of the pressure. They're tired of the hostility, because they'll be angered by it. Even though you have good intentions, even though you really care, and that's the intention, they don't care. That's all there is to it. There's nothing you can do at all. So what do you do then? Well, there's a couple options. Number one, you can, instead of, especially if someone is if someone is saying like, hey, yeah, I want to change, I want to do that, it's just hard. Okay, or my schedule, or they want to do it, right? They're in the contemplation phase, I guess. But they're kind of iffy about it, but they're receptive to it, they're not resisting it, it doesn't cause like extreme anger. Well, then you can just kind of make jokes about it, maybe, right? Like if they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm pissing all the time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, maybe all that sugar you eat on a regular basis, increasing your blood glucose, imagine your bladder. Imagine how your bladder feels. You think your bladder's happy with you? Kind of talk to them like a child, I suppose. I don't know. And that might not be a good idea because it's still kind of like badgering them. But especially if it's a girlfriend or someone you live with, it's probably a better idea to go the playful route and be as playful as possible. Definitely don't be like, look, man, you need to stop eating sugar. Okay, I'm tired of telling you this. Just stop, right? Because and that's the problem I have, right? That's the problem that I have had with certain people, but I've removed that habit from my life with pretty much everyone. Just not the most closest person to me in the last couple of years. And that ruins things when you participate in arguments. Unfortunately, everyone has confirmation bias, and nobody wants to. It's just the way things are. You don't want to cause hostility. Like, you can have a friendly discussion of some kind. You can disagree, but if there's hostility, if there's tension, if you or the other person is not taking it the right way in a productive fashion, if it's not effective, right? If it's not producing, a positive outcome of some kind, then you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, and you are now the one who is stressing. You are now the one who needs advice. And this is me. I am the one who needed to stop, right? I have had this issue for a while, and I've gotten way better at it, but it's like the one issue that I have is like, I suppose, wanting other people to, I guess, I don't know, in my mind, some people do a lot of irrational things, unfortunately. And let's just put it this way, in the world, so this is an extreme example, but there's people who rob others, right? People who commit crimes. And obviously most people would rather them not. If you had a family member who's like robbing a bank on a regular basis, you would really not want them to do that. But the sad thing is, everybody is responsible for their own journey. That's plain and simple. And no matter how extreme or how little it might be, how logical it might sound for the advice you're giving to someone, like, hey, stop robbing that bank. Look, there's nothing that you can do to stop someone from doing it unless they've already made the choice themselves. They've already been wanting to change themselves. There's nothing you can do. There's no reason to continue badgering them. It's unfortunate. I suppose it's not really unfortunate. It doesn't have to be. It's just if you continue to badger them, like that's an issue. That is an issue. And other people can have problems, right? And you can say, well, I have the answer, right? Here you go, do this. But if you participate in this now, you have problems too. You're creating your own problems, right? Especially in regards to friendships and relationships and just everyday life. Like, you're creating stress in your life and whatever relationship you have with whoever you're talking to. So I'm going to wrap this up because I got to go to work in like 30 minutes and I got to eat my damn food that is cold right now. But liver, eggs, and cheese right now because I'm trying cheese again. And I'm hungry as hell, and my pork chops have not been thawed out yet. God damn it! But basically, my approach to just relationships and other people in general, it has to change. And the big picture here is recognizing that everybody is different, and everybody has different values, right? I value what you would call intrinsic self-improvement, right? Getting better on a deep level, psychological, emotional, spiritual, I guess. I don't know, but deeper, intrinsic improvement. And some other people might value self-improvement too, but in a monetary way. Like, I think that's the word. Money and physical objects they want, or jobs and achievement, right? That's what they want to progress in. And I value that strongly myself, right? Other people might not care about self-improvement at all, and they just want to drink beer, smoke weed, and whatever. And they don't care about health or anything, right? There's nothing that I can do to change them. And also, it's kind of, I guess, narcissistic and selfish in a way, simply because like that's the way that they want to live. And the thing that I feel is a lot of people actually don't want to live that way, but they just can't see themselves living any other way. And they don't feel the benefits that I feel, so they don't realize that, hey, you might actually be way happier if you did what I did. But it's not effective to think that way. They have different values. They value fun. I value deep personal developments, self-improvement on a deep intrinsic level. So different value systems. And so I can't tell people what to do. A lot of my videos in the past were me, I think a lot of my videos, I might be wrong, but I feel like a lot of them, the way I delivered my message was like, you should do this because it will help you, period. Like telling people to do things, I suppose. Maybe I'm wrong. Trying to like really hard to convince people that they should do this. Attached to the viewer's actions, wanting them to do these things. And that makes it, first of all, that makes it very hard for me to get my message across to anyone who's already wanting to listen, right? Who's willing to listen. Second of all, that makes it even harder for people to be convinced who probably wouldn't want to read my message anyway, right? To follow my advice anyway. And thirdly, it just makes me stressed. It ruins the fucking fun. You should, here's all the reasons why LDL cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. Like, I should share that message because it's fun to me and I care about it, and share my knowledge. That's what I should be focusing on. Sharing my knowledge and my information and my beliefs, but not trying to convince people, not trying to control vegans, not trying to convert vegans to meat eaters, or just convince them that meat's not bad for you or something. It's a losing battle. That's a big thing. And how much time have I spent arguing with nonsense like that? In my opinion, nonsense. Trying to discuss like why LDL cholesterol is just so weak. There's not any like solid evidence, and most people don't even read the studies. They don't understand the studies. They only, even if people do reference studies at all, it's because Vegan Gains have referenced it before, and they don't believe that the study is valid because they've read it and they truly feel that it's valid. They believe it's valid, not all the time, but most of the time, because their guru said it was. And they're like, oh, if Vegan Gains is so convinced, then I should be too. And that's how I feel. And so if that's the case, then why would I give them good sources, take 30 minutes out of my day to try to to reference studies and things, and really think about their argument and discuss it with the intention of defending my position and or whatever. It doesn't make any sense. Now, on the surface level, I understand that we all have confirmation bias. And I don't think that there's any way around it, no matter what you believe or what you say. I just don't. I think everything is confirmation bias. And and knowing what I know about health science. So not everything. Like, I suppose, like, if I throw this ball up, if I throw this spoon up in the air, it's going to come down. If I hit myself in the spoon over and over again, it's going to hurt, right? If I eat a shit ton of sugar, I'm probably going to have problems, but, you know. But when it comes to health science and what studies say and all this, it's a lot of interpretation, a lot of subjective matter. When it comes to, the best way to do relationships and stuff, like, you know, if you do a certain protocol, you're going to get a certain result. But if you interpret information saying this protocol is going to give you this result, now that's subjective. If I punch myself in the face, I'm going to be hurt and probably break my own jaw. But someone else, like if you tell them, hey, like, you know what happens when you punch someone in the face, you might break their jaw. Then they'll be like, well, it depends on the angle and how hard you hit. And if that person is clenching their jaw or wearing a mouthpiece or blah, 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 that's not even effective. Why would you want to do that? Then it's like all these opinions. Well, anyway, all I'm saying is it's a fucking waste of time. And I've wasted too much time. And I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I don't want to approach my information that way. It hinders me. It causes rigidity, energy blockages, and I'm tired of it. And I've fucked myself up for too long with that in mind. In fact, I think my earlier videos from late 2014, early 2015, when I didn't care about what people thought, when I didn't care about convincing people, I didn't care about the possible criticisms, maybe one day being on worst of the health industry on Vegan Gains channel, right? Maybe that'll happen still. Predicting the future, right? I'm a Simpsons episode now, but I never thought about that shit back then, and so I was able to just enjoy things, share information freely, and be more effective at spreading my message. But these days, it's just like caring about, like, trying to argue with people, trying to convince people, even just talking to a camera, but with the intention of, like, hey, like, you know, whoever's watching this needs to believe what I'm saying. Like, complete nonsense, completely ineffective. I can't do that. It's done. Like, because it just ruins things. Ruins relationships, ruins friendships, it just ruins my message, ruins my fluidity. It's just stressful, it's tight, it's rigid. Can't do that. And it's ruined friendships, like when I do that in person, you know. And it's not like, like violent or aggressive at all. It's just like, it's like having your dad, right? Like having your dad just having your dad point a finger at you all the time. Hey, eat that protein, and then after like 10 times of telling you over and over again, eat that protein, you stop that person there, your friend or whatever, and you say, listen, and then you give them a lecture, like, if you don't eat the protein, blah, 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 you've been saying that you want this result for a long time, you know, eat your protein and you'll get that result. I don't understand why you haven't eaten your protein yet. You know, I've known you for 5 years, blah, 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 eat your protein. It's like that unfortunately, it doesn't get the message across. And you just said, hey, after 5 years of badgering you constantly, you still haven't eaten your protein. Well, shit, why the fuck are you wasting your time still trying to explain that to the person? You can't do that. I can't do that. Like, that's the case. It's just like, and it's hard because you stop for a while and then, like, you fall back into that pattern. You think it's for the best. Like, the thing is, you're so determined to get the point across. And it doesn't. So determined. And it doesn't. And that's how all of this is. And that's what's underlying it. The determination to get your point across, to get through to someone. Relationships die from this. Friendships die from this. just talking to people, your time dies, your heart dies. Try not, the same thing, arguing with people on the internet, like, oh, so determined to, like, convince, you know, oh, like, you don't have to agree with me, but just understand, blah, blah, blah. It's like for so long, I've been thinking, oh, there's logical, rational people in the world who are open-minded, blah, 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 but I suppose recognize I'm not even as open-minded as I want to be. And I don't think it's possible for human beings to be that way. I think that maybe to an extent, but it depends on what it's about. And, you know, it's just like you can be open-minded, you know, but it's just if you have strong beliefs on something, I suppose, or if you know, whatever. The point is, like, that's always a factor, confirmation bias, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be a core element in how I'm talking to myself, how I approach other people in life. Recognizing, like, hey, I do things the way I do, I think the way I do, and I'm confident in what I do because it really seems to work. You know, it seems very successful. But it doesn't mean that everyone else has to do it. Maybe even if they're struggling, like, they could benefit, they should try, maybe, but I can't tell them they should try it. If they want to try it, if they see value in it, they'll come, they'll try, they'll listen. But it's so destructive if I try to force things, right? Try to control it, and that's all there is to it. It's destructive. You know, having that approach, like, hey, like, you need to do this. Like, if you just count your macros. Like, I've had clients, right? I've had a lot of clients, like, personal training and whatnot, even, you know, or just people who ask me about nutrition and stuff online. Like, hey, like, track your food, you know, at least in Notepad, but definitely in Chronometer. And people have the hardest time doing that. It's like, if you just track your food, it'll give you all the information you need on what's causing you problems. And a lot of people get angry. It's like, okay, well, there's not a whole lot of benefit you can get from personal training if you don't have the nutrition on track. But at the same time, you know, so now I'm going to have to try to work you as hard as I can to produce the result or whatever, to try to compensate for the lack of nutrition tracking. That's just the way it is. And if you're a personal trainer, you're going to lose a lot of money trying to force people to do logical, sound, scientific things that will help them get results, but they don't want to do it. You've got to adapt to other people. And I'm talking to myself. Like, see, here I go again. You've got to adapt to other people. Well, I've got to adapt to other people. I've got to conform. I've got to help people in a way that they, as an individual, are compatible with. There we go. I'm going to eat. I haven't eaten all day. Fasting for, like, what, 30 hours now? Whatever. Hope you guys like this video. Talk to y'all in the next video.